everybody, and good Tuesday evening to you. It is 21 News Chief Meteorologist Eric Wilhelm here with a fresh edition of Weather for Weather Geeks. We're heading into the dead of winter, and there's no shortage of winter weather to talk about in the coming days and even the next couple of weeks. If you watched Weather Geeks last evening, I talked about how this is going to be a pretty active and cold pattern, it looks like, almost through the end of the month. There are signs the pattern begins to moderate some at the very end of the month and heading into the month of February, and February could turn out to have kind of the same flavor as December. But in the meantime, we have our hands full over the next couple of weeks with storms and rumors of storms and all sorts of fun stuff. Wanted to do a quick review of where we were a couple of years ago on today's date as we kick off this video. 2 years ago today, not only was it a record high for today's date, it was the second warmest January temperature on record. It got to 70 2 years ago. Weird stuff at this time of the year in recent years. In 2019, around this time of the year, I think it was on the 10th, we had a tornado that crossed Mosquito Lake in Trumbull County around the Cortland area. And on this date in 2018, it was in the mid-60s. That was the previous record high before it was broken in 2020. And then in 2017, we had a record high in the upper 50s. That record lasted 1 year. It was broken by the mid-60s in 2018. And then 2 years later, it was broken again by a fairly astonishing 70 on today's date 2 years ago. Nothing like that today, unfortunately. We were in the icebox today with temperatures no higher than about 21 this afternoon. It was tied with last Friday as the coldest high temperature so far this January. Now, it's been colder than December, yes, but you'll notice the departure from average so far in January is nothing really to write home about, just under a half a degree cooler than average. So yes, it's been colder than December, but it hasn't been tremendously abnormally cold so far this January. All right, quickly reviewing last evening. It was a little hairy out there at times last evening with some pretty substantial snow showers that developed after I did Weather for Weather Geeks last evening. So the 8, 9, and 10 o'clock hours, all kind of rough, especially from about Interstate 80 on south. That's where the most frequent snow bands were. I had kind of a tricky trip home last evening after 21 News at 11. As we expected, though, things faded away pretty quickly as we got into the overnight hours. All right, warm front is tracking through the middle of the country this evening. This warm front's accompanied by a band of cirrus clouds. It's also, of course, accompanied by a pretty nice warm-up compared to 24 hours ago. Look at these 24-hour temperature change numbers. 32 degrees warmer in the Twin Cities. 16 in St. Louis. Omaha at 16. Now, we're exactly where we were 24 hours ago here locally, but I expect temperatures to bottom out this evening and then rise as we head through the overnight tonight. And tomorrow morning, instead of the lower teens, we'll have the balmy mid and upper 20s, making our way above freezing in the afternoon in the wake of that warm front. Despite a thickening cloud deck, we should make a run at 40 in most spots by the end of the afternoon. All right, cold front kind of falls apart then on Thursday, but yeah, there might be a couple of flurries around. This disturbance is likely to dive to our south and east and kind of start making the bend a little bit too far to the south to bring us much in the way of impactful weather. So this will be rain and snow showers, primarily Interstate 70 and south, Thursday afternoon and Thursday evening. Another front drops in on Friday. This is the front that will usher in colder air again for Friday afternoon into Saturday. Might spark a stray flurry early in the day on Friday. All right, medium-range computer models today really started to advertise pretty aggressively a pretty significant winter storm across the eastern U.S. this weekend, especially by Sunday and into Sunday night and Monday. A lot of course, chirping on social media about this, especially for our friends closer to the East Coast and even down into the Southeast. As it stands right now, this is what I think is the most likely scenario. I would say the most likely big impacts from this would be in a corridor from Atlanta to Charlotte to Raleigh up to D.C., Philadelphia, maybe New York City and Boston as well. And I'm not taking us out of the zone just yet, but I think significant impacts are less likely around here. It's just something that at this point we're not going to rule out, but the models right now keep most of the deep moisture just off to our east. Now, no doubt if you are perusing some weather weenie websites or some Facebook pages today, you're going to find some crazy model stuff on there. You're going to find someone posting probably the GFS, the operational GFS run, which has something like 12 inches of snow around here. That's one run of one model, and We, at this stage of the game, really prefer what we call ensemble modeling rather than deterministic modeling. Ensemble modeling is basically you take kind of the main GFS run, and then you run it over and over and over again, and each time you run it, you tweak the initial ingredients in the model, the initial conditions, if you will. And then as you go out through time, if the model solutions diverge quite a bit, then those initial tweaks ended up resulting in big time differing solutions as you go out through time. And that's what's preferable with this lead time, because we're never going to be able to model the atmosphere exactly correctly. We're not going to have the exact initial conditions in that model to 100% accuracy. So you want to look at a variety of solutions, and ensemble models give us that tool. And well, the operational GFS shows a foot of snow here locally. The GFS ensemble model odds of 1 inch or more worth of snow from this system currently stand in this purple color right here. Let's highlight that. This purple color right here is less than 10% odds of 1 inch worth of snow. So despite what the operational GFS is printing out, which again you might find if you stumble across the right websites or Facebook pages, the ensembles are not at this point gung-ho on a big accumulation around here. This is the European ensemble, kind of the same idea. The odds of 1 inch or more with that weekend into Monday storm, 10% or less. So don't buy into the hype if you are stumbling across some pages, some Facebook pages that are just showing you, hey, the GFS is showing 12, 13 inches of snow around eastern Ohio and western PA, because that at this point is a very unlikely scenario. I'm not going to be able to rule out at this point impacts and accumulations here locally, but at this point I don't think odds are favoring any sort of real big ticket storm. But stay tuned. The trends bear watching. The models really weren't advertising much of anything at this time yesterday, and today they all hopped aboard this idea. So tomorrow we'll see if the trends keep backing off to the west, and if that's the case, then we'll have to take it a little more seriously. But sitting here Tuesday evening, you're not going to see me honking about this huge snowstorm or blizzard that's coming our way later this weekend into early next week. We'll have more updates, of course, on future editions of Weather for Weather Geeks. In the meantime, thanks for watching tonight, and have a great rest of your Tuesday.